Hello and welcome to Kitco Mining's Investment Trends with me, Paul Harris, in which today we are looking at silver exploration. Joining me is Joaquín Marias, President and CEO of Argenta Silver, which trades on the TSXV under the ticker AGAG. Joaquín, welcome back to Kitco.
Thank you very much, Paul. I'm very pleased to be here again.
And thank you. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got presidential elections in Argentina, and of course, we've got some very, very, very high-grade silver results from your drilling. Let's start at the top. Argenta is exploring for silver at the El Quevar project in Salta in Argentina. The country's just had some important elections, the midterm elections there, where President Javier Milei had a strong showing. These were held in October. This strong showing surprised even him. Joaquín, why did President Milei perform so strongly in these elections, or is it more the case that the opposition performed poorly?
Okay, I have to say that he actually surprised everybody, not even himself. This was a great surprise because people was kind of expecting a lower performance for him. He won with 41%. His party won with 41% in most of the country, which is incredible. And I think that you are pointing out here something very particular. The opposition in Argentina is pretty much fragmented. So we need to understand that Argentina is coming out from probably over 20 years of very turbulent politics. Recently, a new court cause started, and this case in the court, it's having 86 people in there. That will probably be condemned, or they are blamed of bribery from the previous administrations. So the opposition is pretty much fragmented. A lot of things have come out to the light of the truly evidence of what it has been on the previous administrations. And Javier Milei has changed a lot, not only the economical and the political scenario, but he has also made a very strong cultural change in people. People is not having fun at all. The inflation, it's still there. And there are plenty of things that need to be corrected in the country. But there is a fundamental change in the people. People now has hope, and they have realized that if they go through this pain, that if they keep suffering a little bit more for these changes, the changes will be long term. So there is a clear message from him. He has very much credibility. He's showing that what he's promising is what he's doing. He's showing that he's deregulating a lot of things that have had regulations and controls for many years. And the country is literally starting to have a big change. So I think that it's a combination of both things, Paul, that have become to this point where the changes in the social environment are almost full. If you ask me, I think that there is no way to go back to what it was before. I think that where we are now, it's a no turning back point. So in the future, we might see something similar or more or less like Milei, but I don't believe that we are coming back to what it was the previous administrations.
Okay, now it's interesting you say that his opposition is fragmented. From what I saw in part of political broadcasts, pretty much nobody had any policies or any policy alternatives. Their only platform was to get rid of Milei. Milei was obviously elected on a big platform of change. These midterm results, as you mentioned, support that and give him extra confidence going forward. He's pro-business, he's pro-mining development. So what do these election results mean for the remainder of Milei's term?
Well, I have to say that on my perspective, this is fantastic for the country itself, because he's going to be able to make all these changes, all these reforms. He will be able to deregulate more. He will be able to pass more laws into the Congress to be approved in order to change the country for good. We have seen a lot of foreign direct investment coming into the country, from BHP to the Lundin family, some oil and gas investments. And recently there was an announcement from a company that is going to bring data centers from OpenAI for an investment of $25 billion, the largest investment ever in Argentina. So we are starting to see all these changes, and it's been only 2 years with pretty much a headwind, going against a lot of these things that now are not completely over, but will be pretty much over with the support of the Congress, or the Congress on his side. He will have to negotiate a lot for sure, but I think that he will get the allies that he needs to pass a lot of new regulations that will help the country to develop. Argentina, when we think about that, it's a multiple jurisdiction country. So every province has a different rule or regulation in terms of mining. And ultimately, the provinces are the ones that are deciding for one thing or the other. But having the president align with the industry, having some provinces that they need cash flow, they need to generate, they need to have job opportunities, provinces that have been marginal to the mining environment. Now they are starting to align with the national government, and this is great wins for the country.
Excellent. Well, let's talk a bit more about Salta. What were the midterm election results in Salta? Salta, my understanding is it's a pro-mining province. The provincial authorities, the provincial environmental authorities, have just announced or approved the environmental impact statement for Lithium Argentina and Genfeng Lithium's Pozuelos Pastos Grandes lithium development. So it seems they're continuing to promote and support mining. What were the election results like in Salta?
So as I said, it's not Milei the one that went into the election. It's his party and the other parties. In different provinces, like in Salta, there are different parties which are not completely coming from the same branch or strain as for Milei. We need to say that the one that is aligned with the national government is the one that has won, but it's not a party that was created on the guts of the Milei's party. For Salta, I think that it's very important to point out that Salta has a long-term politics in terms of mining. That's why you see these permits being approved one after the other. And if you comply 100% in Salta, you will get the permits of your project for sure. And we see this approval of different permits for different projects because these are companies that they have been working. They have been very diligent on presenting what they need to present. And we see this one after the other. For us, it's one of the cases. The same for other companies that are in the province. We have been very compliant with the government. We have been very close to the government in learning more of how the regulation is changing or how things are laid down in Salta, and that it's allowing our company to move forward very quickly. So I think that moreover, what party is in charge in Salta, there is a long-term politics. It's the same in the province of San Juan and some other provinces. And this is also something that I tell investors. When you're investing in Argentina, you should invest in the company, not in the government and not in the people. You should invest in the company. Pan American Silver, the Grosso Group, the Lundin family, Anglo, and many others, including Aldebaran, which was previously Regulus. All these companies have been in the country for, over 20 years, and they went through the lows and ups of the country, and they were not affected at all. I mean, there are struggles and there's a storm every time that things get not right. But, if you know how to navigate the storm, if you know how to overcome that storm, at the end of the day, you come to a point like now where you become very successful. So it's about how you navigate the political system in Argentina. And I think that endurance and perseverance is the most important that the companies can do in Argentina.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a step closer towards what you're doing. Since we last spoke, silver powered over $50 per ounce. I think it got up to about $54 per ounce before pulling back in a correction in October. Now it's bouncing again, and this morning it's closing in on $50 per ounce. Joaquin, where are we in the silver cycle at the moment, do you think?
Well, look, silver might go up, might go down. That's the price of silver. But we need to see what are the fundamentals behind. The fundamentals haven't changed at all. We still have the same deficit as 3 months or 6 months ago. We have a deficit of over 150 million ounces in the world. And silver has become an industrial element, and now it's in the list of the critical elements. It's been included, I think, that last week. So we are starting to see a lot of things from silver that are the same that were before. So the price fluctuates up and down, which is absolutely normal. I mean, that volatility is healthy in a healthy market. If things go straight up on a line, you should be doubting about that. But now we see this healthy volatility of a healthy market coming up. And as I say, I think that the fundamentals haven't changed at all. We will see better things in the future. Paul, if you think about, value, if silver as a value element and not as an industrial element, the inflation in the United States, cumulative, for the last 10 years has been approximately between 30 to 35%. It's happening in North America, here in Canada as well. So the world is suffering this inflation. And some of these precious metals, are safe havens against that. So wherever you see silver, if it's an industrial element or if it's an element that will, keep your purchasing power there intact, well, I think that the picture now, it's still the same, pretty much the same as plenty of people has been stating before, and I think that we will see much better conditions for silver as well.
Okay, now a buoyant silver price means that it's perhaps a good time for silver juniors such as yourself to raise money, and you recently did that. You raised $17.5 million Canadian in August. It seems like the appetite for silver exploration stocks is returning to investors. When you did that raise, Joaquin, what was some of the conversation you have? What did potential investors, what were they looking for?
So this was a bulk deal that happened in between the end of July and August. It was very, very quick. And this bulk deal was fantastic. It was $15 million coming into the treasury. And we had to upsize the bulk deal different times on the way. It was very quickly, but there was a lot of interest. And when we were closing the bulk deal at 15 million, then our largest shareholder, which is Eduardo Elsztain's group, they decided to make use of their pro rata right. So they invested $2.5 million on top of that, which make the 17.5 that you just mentioned. So the interest in these kind of things is very important because, first of all, our project is a pure silver play. They are very, very rare. We have a case here where our 50 million ounces combined in between inferred and indicated are only in one place. They are not distributed over an area. The deposit is completely open to both ends. We have been drilling there. Probably we can discuss that in a minute. But the other thing is that we have shown in this year of life of the company, just the 28th of October, we were celebrating our first year. So we have shown the market credibility that what we say is what we are doing. We have shown them the value that we can create with this. We are starting to show them the true potential of our project because our project has so much area that it's completely unexplored. So our cherry, it's the deposit itself, but then we have all this potential on top that it's the one that we have to go after for in order to look for something new.
Now, I think you mentioned something very important that I want to sort of go back to. When you were about to close the raise, one of your biggest investors came in with their preemptive rights, or not preemptive rights, with their continuation rights for another $2.5 million. So Senor Eduardo there. I think that's worth highlighting because he's a local investor. How important is it for you, for the company, to have that continued support from such a strong local partner?
So this is a clear message to the market. This is not a project for North American markets or the European markets. It's a project for the world. I mean, and this is shown because we have investors from every corner of the planet that come and see this as a real opportunity. And for local people in Argentina investing in this kind of projects, it's a clear message to us and to the rest of the world that even in Argentina, there is real interest on a project like El Quevar. Eduardo Elsztain, he has been investing in real estate and in agribusinesses for many, many, many decades. And he started to invest in mining probably in the 90s. He has been slowly adding some things to his portfolio. But lately, he has been very aggressive adding more things. Argenta is one of his latest acquisitions in his portfolio. And it's because even in Argentina, the thesis about precious elements, it's very strong. And we see a lot of interest from other investors in Argentina, not only from Eduardo, in our project. And this is very remarkable, right? Eduardo is one of the most important businessmen in Argentina and probably in Latin America, a very respected person. And I think that gives us a seal on top of credibility on what we are doing here.
Okay, now let's talk about what you're spending money on. You've been putting some great drilling hits out, such as 40 meters, grading 1,026 grams per ton silver from El Quevar. Drilling commenced in late May as part of a 4,000 meter Austral winter campaign, which you designed to confirm known high-grade zones, step out along strike, and test new targets. Joaquin, what has this 4,000 meter drilling campaign added to the story so far, the Yaxtché deposit?
Well, I think, Paul, that the intercept that you are mentioning, those meters were 40 meters with about 1 kilogram of silver. Those are super important because they were drilled in a gap on the resource. Then we drilled a 70-meter step out in an area that it's pretty much inferred. So this 70-meter step out is telling us that the deposit keeps there, still there. It was 43 meters at 545 grams per ton of silver. So it's telling us that the huge grades are still down plunge on trend, that we need to keep drilling on trend. And on the other side of the deposit, on a shallower zone, we also drill a successful step out 50 meters away from the envelope. So we have drill in both ends away from the existing envelope, and we hit successfully. So it has been a very meaningful program in terms of the resource itself, and in terms of exploration. We found on surface some samples that were record. We assay some samples that reached the upper detection limit from the laboratory of 20,000 grams per ton, which is the top of the instrumental. That's the top that the instrumentals can read in the laboratory. But this is telling us something very important. It's telling us that the fluids are oversaturated or supersaturated in silver. So having that much silver, having visible silver, is telling us that wherever those fluids have been in contact with a volume of rock, well, there should be another deposit. So we are now exploring those areas. We are exploring those avenues. And this year we will be very aggressive on the exploration. We will be drilling a lot on the resource, but we will be also very aggressive on the exploration side of things. That winter program that you just mentioned, it's over. And I have to remember, as you did, winter from Argentina. Now we are starting our summer program in Argentina, which will last from November to May of 2026, and this November to May 2026, and that's the summer in Argentina. Please don't confuse the seasons. Down there, it's summer now. Up here, we are in winter.
Okay, I want to talk about that in just a moment, but with the winter program, you mentioned a couple of big, interesting step outs there. So, what's the sort of footprint looking like as we sit here today? As the winter program concludes, what's the footprint been expanded to?
Well, I think that the deposit is almost 1.5 kilometers long, so it's very big, and the footprint of the deposit, it's very, very large on trend, and the trend it's very well established on our maps. When you project that into surface, it's very clear. So this footprint for the resource is something that it's very easy to follow up. But then the alteration footprint from the whole system, because El Quevar has a deposit that is where our ounces are coming, and that's only one thing. But then we have all the other area surrounding it, which it's engulfed by an erosional window that has 4 kilometers of diameter. And there is another erosional window next to it of another 4 kilometers diameter, which it's barely explored, and we need to get in there. Plus a lot of potential in gold that we see on surface samples and in some drillings as well. So with one of the drills that we put out last time, we found that there is a kind of a confirmation of a gold zone below probably the current deposit. Historically, there's gold in the project as well. We have 11 meters at 1 point something grams per ton. In some other cases, 2 meters with 13 grams per ton of gold. So this is as well something that I want to mention that we will be following up.
Now, the winter program, as you mentioned, that's ended. You've just started, or you're just starting your summer program, which you mentioned will go into 2026. And I believe that's going to be an initial 15,000 meters of drilling. What are you looking to do with that 15,000 meters?
So the 15,000 meters will be split. So not everything is going into the resource. And this is not only for the meters that we will drill. I would like to talk here, Paul, about our capital allocation. So our budget has been approved by the board. We have a beautiful budget that can take us up to June with no problems at all. We are fully cashed up. We have $23 million Canadian dollars in the bank at this moment. We are fully cashed up. The capital allocation, it's going to be 40% into resource expansion and 60% into exploration for new discoveries. This means that we will be drilling the resource on trend, trying to expand the resource, trying to add ounces. So that it's going to be low risk for us. On the other side, we need to be very aggressive. 60% of the capital allocation, as I mentioned, it's going to go into exploration for new deposits, for new targets, for new areas that are showing very good indications of potential mineralization. So we will be very aggressive on the exploration, spending 60% of our capital allocation. And I have to say that we are happy with that split. This is a company that has approximately 10 to 15% of the total expenditure on G&A only. So 85% of our money is going straight into the ground, and we are very proud about that. So we will work that way. It's a program that we run simultaneously. So simultaneously, at the same time, we will be drilling the resource and we will be exploring. And I think that that's something that it's going to be very important for the company, because we will see a lot of news coming out from the resource and from the exploration side of things.
Okay, so with 40% of that drilling to be targeting sort of resource expansion, let's project a little bit ahead. When do you think you'll be in a position to put out a resource update?
Okay, a resource update. Look, I think that if by the end of this season, we have enough drilling to start thinking on infer some of that material into the resource to include those inferred ounces into the resource, we will do an update. If not, we will have to run the winter season from Argentina, which goes in between May and October, and then we will probably have more clarity. And this is very simple. Sometimes the market wants things now, but there are certain things that are protecting the market actually from things that are not right. And one of them is that companies should only update their resource when the update is really material. And we consider an update to be material when the update or that upgrade is around 20 to 25% of the existing ounces. So if we don't find enough ounces with this drilling, or we are not sure that we can include that in a resource because it's not given enough certainty, then probably we are not going to do it. We will need to keep drilling. And that's the only way to the risk. But that's in order to protect our shareholders and to be sure that we are doing the things right.
Okay, thank you, Joaquin. Now, we're coming to the end of 2025. We're coming to the end of our conversation as well. You've just started a new round of drilling, 15,000 meters, which will have resource drilling and exploration drilling. What would be a good 2026 for you and the company?
Well, a great 2026 for us could be to hit more step outs, to keep expanding the resource, as we were just as I was just saying. If we could add those ounces into future updates, that would be fantastic. And for that, we need to keep drilling on trend and keep the risk in the resource on those areas that we don't know if there is mineral or not. So far, we have drilled step outs, and the results came very successful. So having good results on trend on both ends of the resource, that could be a great thing for us. That's the low risk. But if we think about the exploration, I think that it would be fantastic if we could hit some discoveries, or if we could start hitting some areas with more potential to build ounces outside of the resource. We will be exploring a lot on surface. So the 60% of the capital allocation is going to be for drilling and for ounces. So we will for surface. So it's going to be drilling and surface exploration. That will include geophysics, geochemical sampling for soils and rocks, structural mapping, more detailed lithological mapping on surface. With that, we have this methodological approach where we explore surface, we identify targets, we drill them, then we keep going on surface on another side, we identify those targets, and we drill. So these things that can be run simultaneously are accelerating our process of exploration, and they are giving us enough confidence on where we are targeting. We are very precise, or we try to be very precise on where to drill. So I think that it's going to be fantastic to have good hits on the resource and good hits on the exploration. And even if we find good things on surface, that's great because it's giving us more targets to drill in the future.
Excellent. Well, good luck with that. That's it for this edition of Investment Trends. I'm looking forward to catching up with you next year. Joaquín Marias, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Paul.
And Argenta Silver trades on the TSXV under the ticker AGAG. And if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm Paul Harris, and this is Kitco Mining.